G'day trendsetters, coming to you today from somewhere in beautiful sunny California, from the home of Black Cat Bicycles. A brand you may not be familiar with, but we're going to get a shop tour. This brand has been around for quite some time, and we'll meet Todd, the founder and builder, in a couple of seconds. Let's walk into his shop and see what's going on today. Trendsetters, that is Todd from Black Cat Bicycles. Todd, thank you for having me, mate. So what's got you into frame building?
Probably about 2002, I wanted a 29er single speed, and there were not many people making 29er single speeds yet. I asked a couple builders, and they were like, nah, I don't really want to do it. I want to get into it. I don't want to retool. So I had a bit of metal experience from school, and I thought, how hard could it be? And I've spent the last 25 years figuring out that it's pretty fucking hard.
I first learned of your brand from a good mate of mine, Brian Rogers, and if I've got some photographs, I'll overlay them. This bloke had this wild cutting edge design bike, one by and big tire clearance, I think.
And disc brakes.
And disc brakes, and this was back in 2010 or thereabouts. And yeah, it's taken 15 plus years for the industry to catch up. But just one thing, what did you think about that bike when it first, I guess, rolled into your production line, so to speak?
I took Brian's word for it. He was very specific about what he wanted. One by was just kind of popping on mountain bikes. It was definitely two by at that point. But he was thinking that one by would be good, and there was, I think it was a Specialized tire. I think it was 1 3/4 inches. I don't remember the name of it.
It was a Specialized Renegade.
That was it. So he wanted that tire, and he wanted this set of cranks. I think it was like maybe E13s or something. I don't know. It was, 15 years ago or whatever. And disc brakes, and they were only mechanical disc brakes at that point, and so I was like, okay, no through axles, definitely quick release, and I was like, okay, sure, you're the boss. So I built it up and sent it on its way, and when you build it up with all the parts, you really kind of start to see the vision as opposed to, kind of seeing all these microscopic details. And yeah, when I started building it up, it was like, oh yeah, duh, and here we are.
So moving on, looks like you like Columbus tubing.
Sure.
Is that your main, the main tubing you use for building frames?
No, I'll use pretty much anybody's. Just looking at different butting profiles and hardnesses and alloys and all that. If you stick with Columbus or stick with Reynolds or whatever, you really kind of limit yourself to the design of the bike.
Yeah, I can't help but notice behind me the classic Bridgeport machine. I do a lot of shop tours and
ubiquitous.
Yeah, very, very much so. A lot of these machines have an interesting history, I find.
This one doesn't have a particular history that I know of. Yeah, I bought it from a local tool broker. Friend of mine. It's a great machine. It was well taken care of, so I'm lucky for that.
Now, I can't help but notice you have an anvil frame building jig. Now,
Yep.
folks in the know, Don Ferris was I'm going to say, interesting bloke, okay? And I first heard of his frame jigs a long time ago, and here we have one. So, this is obviously the heart of your operation, I guess. You build all your stuff here and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess tell us about some of the frames you've been building. You've got a pretty nice little shop here.
Nice little shop is the operative word, I think. Everything's, within just an arm's length away.
Yeah.
The things that are going on now are probably these bikes, and these are 2 of a set of 6 that I'm sending out to my Japanese supplier, who obviously buys them in bulk, and yeah, I'm happy to comply with his wishes.
So what sort of wait time, I guess, do you have at the moment?
It's hard to say. The bike industry is pretty weird right now, and tariffs are only making it weirder. Who knows how easy the job is going to be or hard the job is going to be, but I think right now I'm trying to build a bigger shop right now and get out of this thing. And so I'm saying about a year and a half.
Okay.
By the time all said and done.
And you work primarily in steel?
Completely 100% in steel. I love the material. I think everything has its advantages. I think steel is a really easy, really good way to get what you want, both aesthetically, ride quality, construction ease, all of that thing.
Yeah, I can see you got a frame table.
Yes.
Not everyone knows what a frame table does.
No, I'd say this is probably the closest thing to the heart of a, let me get my pull cord for my chainsaw out here. But this is probably as close to a foundation of a frame operation. This thing is dead flat and you can measure anything against it. So if you want to find out if your frame is straight, that's the way to do it. You bolt it down and you measure it from the base of that flat plate. It weighs about 1,200 pounds and generally doesn't warm up until about June.
Yeah, that's a pretty serious chunk of steel.
Yeah. Yes.
So the machine next to us, this is...
Closing lathe.
Okay.
Yep. That is also super helpful in the frame building as well as also in building tools. You can kind of fudge your way through frame building without the machine tools, but if you want to build tools to make the frames, you're dead in the water without machine tools.
All right, mate, I noticed this rather impressive Craftsman toolbox with a crap ton of stickers and labels and such. So I'm assuming you assemble all the bikes here as well, like you ship them out complete reader roll?
Definitely, yeah. A lot of this stuff is kind of tooling. So there's, you know, head tube mills and facing tools and bottom bracket mills and facing tools and, you know, the bicycle specific nightmare of free wheels and bottom brackets and handcrafted chain whips.
I like that.
You know, just the regular junk bin. This toolbox is just kind of all the measuring tools and the, you know, a lot of fabrication tools, that kind of stuff that go along with the tooling plate. If we walk through here, this is the mess making portion of the shop where I'm free to make as much dust or shavings as possible. So yeah, the sanders and the saws and all the finish work happens out here, depending on the weather, I guess.
How's your frame painting?
Typically have it powder coated by a shop in San Jose, and then I'll do a lot of the detail painting on top of the powder coat. And then I have a friend in Watsonville who does the clear coat on top of the detail paintwork.
Todd, I've got a very polarising question here. Well, not really, but mate, there's so many bonkers standards nowadays. What are some of the standards you enjoy working with? Let's focus on the positive here.
Sure. Yeah. The nice thing about all the standards and the internal and external cups is it offers not only a diameter difference, but a width difference. So there's a lot of nice ways to skin the cat of getting the chainstays around that tire and hitting that bottom bracket shell. Things that weren't possible, like fat tires and fat bikes and whatnot, have been made possible by wider bottom bracket shells. You know, you just can't bring the chainstay around that tire with a reasonable chainstay length.
Speaking of cat, skinning the cat, how did the name Black Cat Bicycles come about?
I built bikes for 4 years, something like that, without a name. And I just couldn't come up with a good name. And my idea was to kind of build my skill set and then get a job with a frame builder. But as it became more and more clear that there aren't many two-man bicycle building shops, it was like, okay, I got to come up with a brand. So I came up with Black Cat. I think I was on a bike ride in New Zealand, actually, stumbling through this dry riverbed, and it just came to me, and I don't know why. I've never had a black cat. I have no idea,
that was my
honestly.
Question. Where's the cat, mate?
Yeah, there isn't one. Never has been, strangely. But it was the first name that I didn't hate immediately, you know? So
it's a great name,
just stuck. Yeah,
great name. a lot of big name manufacturers are internalizing everything. You know, they're running cables through
Oh, sure.
headsets and bloody stems and all sort of stuff. You built any internalized bikes is what I'm trying to say.
I have. I don't like to do it.
I can understand why.
Yeah, it makes an easy thing difficult for something that has dubious positives, you know? It looks nice, but it weakens the tubes by drilling a bunch of holes in it, for sure. So then you end up having to use beefier tubes than you would otherwise. And then I always like to have my tube sets as sealed as possible, so there's no moisture ingress egress. So then you have to run these little brass tubes through the bike tube, and not just, you know, you can imagine the nightmare of it all. Yeah, I don't really see a problem with external routing. I pretty much don't do it short of the dropper post that'll exit out the bottom of the seat tube. But short of that, yeah, I don't really see a good reason to go internal. If other people want to do it, that's great. I think carbon is an amazing material and works really well for stuff like that, because you can, on a microscopic scale, decide how much thickness you want here and there. You know, with the molds, it makes it a lot easier to do that. With steel, it's not the greatest material to do that with. So I think it's appropriate if a company wants to make something super aero and unreasonably difficult to service. You know, that's their business. You know, I don't go for it. They come off as kind of tennis rackets to me, but you know, it's their business, and there's plenty of buyers that want that.
What has been one of the more game-changing developments you've seen in terms of like bike design or standards and that kind of thing over maybe the past 20, 25 years?
Oh, disc brakes, hands down. Yeah. I kind of fought disc brakes on cross bikes back in the day, before they were called gravel bikes. And I kind of fought it because half the fun was riding and not being able to stop. You know, that's pretty fun. I was much younger then. But then I built a bike because it was like, okay, I'll just figure this out, and built a bike with disc brakes. And these were the BB7s, right? The Avid BB7s. And it took me all of 300 or 400 yards to realize, like, oh yeah, this is it. One of that first ride, I was riding, and there's this pretty chunky line, you know, with a tree at the bottom of it that you have to kind of dodge. And I was coming down on the disc brakes, and I stopped like 10 feet short of that tree, like stopped, not like skidded around, you know. I was like, oh, I guess I'll keep going. You know, like the amount of control it's given you. I'll trade disc brakes for suspension or dropper posts or any of that, you know. Disc brakes are hands down the number one development since I've started building bikes, for sure.
Todd, I thought it was appropriate to give us a rundown of one of your personal bikes.
I don't even remember when I built this bike. I think it was built for the inaugural Grinduro. It's Columbus Max tubing, almost all Columbus Max tubing. I think the seat tube and the seat stays are not, but everything else is. Yeah, I don't know. It's old school. I was pretty hesitant to make bikes through axle for a long time, because back then, when this bike was built, all the gravel forks were 15 millimeter through axle, and they were just too stiff. It was just really uncomfortable. And if you're doing an event like Grinduro, or building it for an event like Lost and Found or anything, you know that too stiff can be a liability. So I built this one with max tubing to make it too stiff. So I don't know, it's kind of what I used to call the Alpine Road, and it's clearance for up to 40C tires. It's got the old post mount brake in front and the IS mount brake in back. This was before the flat mount had really consolidated its power. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good bike. It's a bike I don't have to think about, and it just keeps going and going and going.
And it has 2x
Yes, 2x. How dare I?
How dare you? Really nice choice of parts. King headset, tire cages by King, of course.
Only the best.
Yeah, nice. Important question, or how do people find you on social media or your website?
There's a new website out there. I think it's called the Googles. And if you go on there
Google.
and you type in the Black Cat bicycles, it'll be in there somewhere.
All right, mate. And, you're on Instagram, I assume?
I am on Instagram begrudgingly, but here we are.
I'm with you, mate. Yeah. Hey, thanks for your time today.
No sweat.
Rightio, Trent says that wraps up another fascinating, I think it was fascinating, right? Small builder tour here today. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel for interesting content such as this. Real world, no bull gravel bike reviews, other product reviews. What else? Oh yeah, ride experience videos, and of course, one of my favorite things in life really, general madness. Tuesday. Are you sleepy? What the f am I doing with my life? Oh, that's pretty awesome. I'll see you in the next video.